Welcome inside episode 465 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Pillar up in the Blue Mountains in Pilsy. What do you know? We've got another Senators game postponed.
It's another one, and we kind of thought this would happen. We were hoping to get a Sens game before the week was over here, but it is postponed up against Seattle on Thursday, and Ross, probably for good reasons, as more Ottawa Senators have been added to the COVID protocol list.
9 in total, including the number one center, the number one defenseman, and in recent times, the number one goalie. So we'll tell you who's on the list, what the fallout could be now that they've changed the required days to be on this list, and what's next for this whole ordeal. What's been next was practice yesterday. We might show you the most depressing lineup you'll ever see. So stay tuned for all that. And we'll check in on the Belleville Senators, who wrapped up their weekend back-to-back with the Toronto Marlies. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Today is Tuesday, January 4th in Pilsy. We were begging for one of these postponed games to be against a bad team. Well, we got it.
Yeah, I mean, the Seattle Kraken easily are the worst team on this list of postponed games that need to be rescheduled. And I think it's for a competitive, if you're looking at it from a competitive lens, it's definitely better that this game is postponed because, as we'll get into, Ross, even the Seattle Kraken would look like a powerhouse team up against this Ottawa Senators lineup.
Yes, first, let's get the updated postponed games list.
Great graphic.
And I updated the records here. We've got the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 teams currently in the NHL, with the Rangers, Capitals, and Hurricanes on this list. Then you've got the 8th ranked St. Louis Blues, the 9th ranked Nashville Predators, and the 10th ranked Pittsburgh Penguins. So yes, that's 6 of the top 10 teams in the league right now. Ottawa will have to make up games against later this season. The 2 just added. The one was supposed to be played last night against the Minnesota Wild, and now at Seattle. So that's 10 total games, 8 home games. Now we've got a pair on the road, and this could get tricky when it comes to logistics. They're not going to Seattle just to play one game, do you think?
Well, I mean, Seattle's a beautiful place, Ross. Like, if you're going to go somewhere for one game, yeah, go to Seattle, spend a long weekend, check out the market, maybe go on the Ferris wheel. There's lots to do there, so that's fine.
Pike Place.
As
I'm
Pike Place.
sipping on mine right now. Exactly. The original roast of Starbucks. There you go. So
there you go.
You get lots of reasons to visit lovely Seattle in the mountains. Do you think they play on Saturday?
Yes, yeah, I really do, because they're going to have more players back from that original COVID protocol list with the requirements changed and stuff like that. And I think a big thing too is now, Ross, there's no cross-border issues, right? Like before, Sens are going into Seattle, then coming to Vancouver. This way, if you're looking at their schedule, they play Vancouver on Saturday, the Oilers on Monday, then Calgary Thursday, and then the Winnipeg Jets on Saturday. So that's going to be 4 straight road games and like a week's worth of games just in Canada. So I think that helps as well without having to deal with the cross-border issue.
Yeah, not to mention Hockey Night in Canada. They always like to have their games front and center, and that would be the late game on Saturday night. One thing that changes this whole perception or whole situation is that the government has reduced the quarantine time from 10 to 5 days. So Thomas Chabot placed on the protocol yesterday. We're about to pull up the full list because you can't even remember them all. There's so many, including 2 coaches. So 11 members of the organization right now are on COVID protocol. You add that with the 4 injured players, and that's 15 regulars. Although I hesitate to call Dylan Hetherington a regular, same with JBD at this point. You know what I mean? But guys who were in the lineup, members of the organization, probably the safest way to
NHL contracts, yeah.
There you go. Thank you very much. Now, that being said, 5 days would mean that Chabot would be eligible to play Saturday.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be without, because the practice lines we're going to show you later in this show are astounding.
Yeah.
There's the word that I have. I was trying to find a word to use it. Depressing seemed mean because there are still some talented players there, but it's astonishing.
Yes.
Now, when we look at this list, if you're watching on YouTube, appreciate that. Locked On Senators, available free wherever you download your podcast. But of course, we do appreciate if you like and subscribe on our YouTube page. It goes a long way. And this might go a long way to explaining why the game on Thursday won't happen, because you already had an inkling this could be the future when you saw Zach Sanford, Nick Paul, Tyler Ennis go on. Then the next day it was like Tierney, it was Norris on that one as well, because he missed the game on Saturday. But then when you get that second wave, like JBD was still waiting for results of his PCR test. So then you're like, oh my God, are we going through this again? How many players is it now, Pilsy, who haven't had it at all?
I think only like 4. Like I know Timmy, Brady, and Zub. Those are the only ones I can think of. Yeah.
Zub would infect COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zub would that wouldn't be a problem for the mythical beast there. But has Matt Murray had it? I don't know if we're putting him in this category.
I think he's been on the COVID list for sure.
He has? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if not in Ottawa with Belleville, they have their whole thing out. That being said, here's the list if you're just listening. So right now it's Josh Norris, Chris Tierney, Nick Paul. So at one point this season, those were your top 3 centermen. Then you've got a couple wingers in there too, and Tyler Ennis and Zach Sanford. Thomas Chabot, I mean, what more needs to be said? Team MVP, I would say, this season, right up there with Drake. And then JBD, Dylan Hetherington, couple depth defensemen, and Anton Forsberg, a guy who had 5 straight wins, and then he gets out of the lineup into COVID protocol, and they lose 6-0 in their next game. So you do the math on that one. Goalie coach Zach Burke also in COVID protocol, as is Bob Jones. Great name for the assistant coach on the Ottawa Senators. So that's a long list, Pilsy, and it makes sense why this game is not happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at some point, like, this isn't even an NHL roster. Like, even if this was a tanking team, like even the Buffalo Sabres or Arizona Coyotes, like this wouldn't match their roster very well. So at a competitive standpoint, they had to do something here. And especially when this many guys have it, it's so likely that it's going to spread more and to those players that haven't yet had it. So I think as much as it pains me to say, it probably was the right decision to postpone this one on Thursday.
And not only that, but you look at how games are being postponed due to COVID left, right, and center around the league. And Ottawa already had to go through a situation earlier this year where they had 10 guys out of the lineup and they still had to play.
Yeah.
So it would just be wild. And they won 1 out of 9 games while they were in their COVID situation last time. So it would just be wild, at least in terms of optics, for them to have to go through it again and again. But at what point do we start to worry about how rusty they're going to be continuously? We saw it.
Yep.
Absolutely no energy in an empty building on a Saturday night in Toronto. But that was 2 weeks between games. Now you're looking at another full week between games. Like, they're playing an NFL schedule right now, basically, with a bye week mixed in.
Honestly, yeah. And wait, is the bye week still a thing this season?
It better not be.
That's I never even thought about that, because that's something that is going to be very interesting. They're going to have to reschedule games during that. There's no time.
They've had their time off. I don't think the players are going to be worried about extra time off.
Exactly, and they can't go on like the lavish vacations they're used to when they get time off either, right? So,
although, did you hear Timmy went back to Germany for like 3 days over Christmas?
I mean, that's not a lavish vacation, but that is good that he was able to see his parents, especially like, man. You're a kid that's starting a professional career, and the way things have been going, it's nice that he was able to see his parents for a little classic German holiday time. So that's great. Yeah, as far like this COVID list, it's just wild. Like, there's so many, like the top centerman, the top defenseman. Like, there's no way the NHL could expect this team to go out and play games and it be a fair, competitive hockey game. Like, it's just brutal.
We feel really bad for our Sen Central citizen as well, UK senator, who had flights booked from England all the way to the west coast
that's one hell of a
North
trip.
America. And he said he's out over $1,000 on that. That is tough. I think he's still going on his trip, though. I think I saw he's going to like a women's basketball game that night instead.
There you go.
So that's unfortunate circumstances. We're going to have him on after that trip and let him vent a little bit because that is absolutely tough. We're in the same boat. We feel it. We're in all likelihood not going to be able to attend that Winnipeg-Ottawa game, although we should write in, see if we can get some credentials as media, try to sneak in the back door that way.
Definitely.
But we'll figure that out. It's just the way the world is right now. I was hoping to go when I was back home in Ottawa to the game against Pittsburgh on New Year's Eve day. It was matinee on New Year's Eve, I guess would be the way to say it. And it's just don't get your hopes up for anything is, I guess, the moral of the story for the start of 2022, although hopefully the corner is turned sooner rather than later. One thing that I always get excited for, and it never lets me down, is Primal Origin oils. Because if you have a beard, like the two of us do, you got to get Primal. You heard that right. Got beard, get Primal. If you or someone you care about has a beard, it needs to get Primal. Maybe you're that guy who's never considered the benefits of treating your beard with product. That was me when I used to do this show in my house coat early in the morning. We weren't even on camera, but now that I always have my Primal Origin oil. It stops the itch, makes my beard look healthy and groomed. Now, if you're wondering what Primal Origin is, they make balms, oils, and whipped butter that are renowned as the best feel-in beard products available. This is due to their exotic carrier blend with oils like raspberry seed, rosehip, and chia seed oils. Check out primaloriginoils.com to learn more about their full line of beard care products. And just use the code Locked On for a 20% discount at checkout. The combo kits are great. You'll love it. Need you to go there right now and check out all their great products. We know that every company claims to have the best, but Primal Origin Oils challenges you to compare their ingredients and feel in beard to other companies you've used. We promise, and you will see and feel the difference. Just remember, our promo code Locked On gets you 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. That's 20% off at primaloriginoils.com. Use the code Locked On at checkout for 20% off. It's primaloriginoils.com. All right, Pilsy. So we teased it a little bit, and just by pulling this up one last time, you know that practice yesterday was going to be tough.
I mean, Ross, they couldn't even fill 4 forward lines, let alone have quality NHL players in there. They don't even have the bodies to get a full lineup here. This is wild.
Should we pull up the list?
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right, Pilsy, take us through this lineup.
Well, your top line, there's 2 familiar faces on the top line, but someone in a place you're not used to seeing him. The top line is Brady Tkachuk on the left wing, Drake Batherson as your number 1 center. This is a guy that hasn't played center since junior. I mean, maybe a couple times here and there, but not consistently. And then Belleville Senators captain, taxi squad player Logan Shaw is also on this top line on
Shout
the right
Kate
wing.
Breton, pair of Kate Breton screaming Eagles.
True,
on this
good
top line.
Good East Coast Bays over there.
Yes, bye. Drake Batherson has taken 39 faceoffs in 123 NHL games.
Yeah, so that's why you got 2 wingers that are face-off wingers on that line, which is pretty hilarious.
Hey, he's over 50%.
We'll take
by one face-off. 20 wins, 19 losses.
It doesn't matter. Let's
go. But Drake's got a long stick. He's a big body. I think he's going to snap some back here. So I'm actually excited to see that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. That's for sure. Yeah, especially that's a line where you don't know who's going to take the face-offs at any given moment.
I'm more concerned about who's taking face-offs on the second line.
Yes, and that is the real issue here. But the second line has remained intact, which is nice. You got Alex Formenton, Tim Stützle, and Connor Brown. So that's your classic second line. Then third line, and this is hilarious, Clark Bishop. This is a guy who we were told is a big reason why the center depth is struggling because he was injured to start the year. And then they don't even play him at center when he's finally healthy and they need the center depth. Whatever. Then you got Dylan Gambrell, Austin Watson. And here's what we're talking about. There's no player available to be on the left wing on the fourth line. Then you have best opportunity of my life, Adam Gaudette, and Scott Sabrin. Like,
welcome back, Sabs.
oh man. Although he has been playing well down in Belleville.
Yeah, he
I'll
scored a
give him
goal the
credit
other
there.
day.
Exactly. Yeah. Assisted by Del Zotto also, which is hilarious.
Hey, we'll get to that.
Yeah. And then your top line, Nick Holden, someone that was a salary dump for Vegas and just an extra acquired player, is your top left defenseman. Artem Zub on the right side. Eric Branstrom and Mackenzie Gannett are your second pair for your D pairs here. And then Uncle Deli with Lassie Thompson to finish things off. And then Josh Brown is practicing. He's an extra. Maybe he'll get some time as a fourth line winger with DJ Smith. Probably that'll happen. And then Gus and Murray, luckily, those two goalies are healthy. And I think that you put Gus in for Saturday's game. It's been enough time, and we've seen the Matt Murray show here. Give Gus a chance.
Yes, and up against the Vancouver Canucks, who Gus played really well against down the stretch last year. I think he had a couple of his wins against them late in the season. Now, you mentioned Josh Brown. He's been practicing now a couple of times. Poor guy. Don't read the replies if you're Josh Brown to the tweet welcoming him back to practice, because they had their fangs out for sure. They did not like the look of that. However, when you have a 20-year-old 7th-round draft pick, and no disrespect to Matt Gannett, but I don't think I need to see him and Lassie Thompson in the same NHL lineup this year. Like, maybe in a couple, but this year, I think that you got to get at least one, veteran NHL body in there to back up Artem Zub.
Yeah, honestly. And it's funny that they put Gannett on the second pair, not Thompson. You think you would show a little more faith there, but I guess it's a limited time, so who knows? I mean,
exactly.
By the time the game comes, this will be irrelevant.
Exactly, but it's relevant because it's
astonishing. It's astounding.
Exactly, all those things. What stands out most to you? Is it Bishop playing the wing?
No, Batherson playing center. Like, that's just so I don't know why not get Stützle playing center on that line if that's what you're going to do.
They tried it.
Yeah, I know, but they don't have other options. Like, at least last time they had Tierney, but I don't know. Like, if you're DJ Smith, you might as well try something here, because these lines are going to be very different. Like, Josh Norris is going to be back before they play a game.
The right wing depth is what really gets me. Logan Shaw, Austin Watson, and Scott Sabrin.
Yeah.
It's okay, Sens fans. It'll be okay. And if you're wondering, Victor Mente, maintenance day, bumps and bruises. And Del Zotto, back up. Your thoughts if he'll be able to maintain a spot, because you're not allowed to have a player making over $1 million on your taxi squad. So he's either in the lineup or back on waivers.
Well, wait, are the extras a part of the taxi squad? You know what I mean? Like, can he be an extra, not a taxi squad, or does that blend together?
No, he can. He could be a healthy scratch. He has been a lot this year.
Yeah, okay, but that was before they implemented the taxi squad, so I don't know if that's going to change.
They still can. You get your 23-man roster.
Yeah, okay, so it is possible. Going on his play, I thought he looked very confident in Belleville. Like, I mean, he should be. Yeah, that's a guy that... Does he have more experience NHL games than Holden, or does Holden have more?
No, Del Zotto is at like 730 games.
Yeah, so...
I've actually got it up right here. 720. Sick ass.
Yeah, so he's got the NHL experience. He goes down to Belleville. I think he took it like a pro. I mean, obviously he's upset. Like, this is not the year he anticipated having when he signed a 2-year deal at a free agency with Ottawa. But I think he looked okay down there. And honestly, as a plug-and-play player on your third pair, it's okay to have Del Zotto there. I mean, he's even, like we talked about it, like, he's put up points. Sure, he's kind of a liability defensively and hasn't done a whole lot else very well, but he is a guy that can move the puck, and when the puck's in the O-zone, he can create offense. So I don't hate it, but I don't think he holds a spot in the lineup here, Ross. I'd be very surprised when players start coming back from protocol and injuries if he's still a guy that makes the top 6.
The most uncle answer ever. Did you hear what he said after the game when they asked about how it's been going, adversity and all that?
I think I saw it, but I don't have the exact quote in front of me.
I'm trying to find the exact one, but it was something, just a paraphrase. He goes, all I can control is my work ethic and my attitude, but in terms of adversity, like I get paid very well to play a game. Like that's something that your uncle would say at dinner table. It's like adversity. What adversity? I get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Did you
he's
hear
not.
Evgeny Malkin? They asked about his next contract. He's like, "It's all good. I'm a very rich man."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Uncle Deli's the uncle at Thanksgiving who has no kids. He's like a successful entrepreneur, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. Life's pretty good for me. And yeah, that reminds me of the Malkin quote of Pasternak when they asked Pasternak a couple years ago, like, are you upset that you're undervalued and you signed this deal with the Bruins and, no one makes a lot of money here and all this? And he's like, guys, I make $6 million. Like, I'm doing all right. Like, I'm not upset about that at all. So sometimes it's good for these guys to take a step back and put things into perspective. Like, yes, that is very difficult for Del Zotto, and it's not what he anticipated. But at the end of the day, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad at all, Pillsy. One other quote that I really want to get into is, and this is just more Brady being relatable, but he's one of the guys
Yeah,
who
he was frustrated.
He was super frustrated. But
Yeah.
if you read this quote from TSN 1200, it's great. He goes, they asked him, like, I don't know how it was worded. I want to hear how it was worded, but basically asking why he hasn't had COVID yet. He goes, I can't really explain why I haven't had COVID. Just trying to live my life, follow the rules.
Yeah, I mean, but that's so relatable. Like, I feel like everyone that has been very fortunate to not have it, and we're both in that camp, luckily. That's all you can really say. Like, hey, I've just been doing what I can to lay low. I've been following protocols, and I've been lucky, right? So
yeah, playing lots of Chell, and Chell finally gets a W because they've had Drake Batherson listed as only a center for like 3 years now. So they got their wish.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of Chell, too, at least we can finish the World Juniors on Chell.
Oh, my. Don't even get me started.
Positive.
So I just got back, obviously, to Winnipeg, and I see my Team Canada jersey because the last episode we recorded was a preview. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave it in honor here for at least this
till
day.
The tournament's over. Yeah.
Oh, my God. The final's supposed to be tomorrow night.
Canada, Sweden would have been a good one. Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, there's my cat's whiskers.
There you go. Well, the cat's getting involved in the action as well. That's why you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel because you never know what's going to happen next. Next is supposed to be the Vancouver Canucks, Pillsy, and we're going to get into this later in the week, but it just shows you what a new coach can do. Hey, like ever since they brought in Bruce Boudreau, they've
8-0-1.
Absolutely humming. That being said, they're 8-0-1 under Bruce Boudreau, and they're still second last in their division.
Yeah, they dug themselves a big hole. But that's the thing, like, I feel like we could tell that roster had enough in them. They just needed the right direction. And that's what happened. I mean, no ricochet shot at Travis Green. It was just time for a change.
How tough is it if you're Travis Green watching the same players that you had play so much better?
That's got to be so tough. And like, not marginally better, like worlds better.
Way
like,
better.
It's crazy. So that's got to be real tough if you're sitting at home. If you're sitting at home, you got to stop watching the Canucks if you're Travis Green. Like you got to shut everything down.
Yeah, no question about that. So what else in the world of Sens right now? Nobody's really playing. We're waiting on Tyler Boucher to get up to Canada. There was just an exception made for the OHL so they can continue their game. So I believe January 14th will be his first game with the Barber Poles. That's the same night you and I are going to be hopefully in the Ralph in North Dakota, getting to see Jake Sanderson, Tyler Clevin firsthand. We talked about Zach Ostapchuk with a big weekend as well. Carson Latimer, who's going to be on this show sooner rather than later. We'll have, he's been killing it with Prince Albert too. I think did I say Prince Albert for Ostapchuk? Meant Vancouver Giants for him. And the Belleville Senators. They had a great win on Saturday. Not so great on Sunday.
Yeah, I caught a bit of this game, and the highlights are on YouTube if you guys want to check it out. It's nice that they're doing that now, but tough one for the Belleville Senators here because a lot of these goals, they happened early. It was 3-1 in the first period. The Marlies ended up winning 4-2, but they were results of bang plays. And the first one was a really good play by the Marlies player, Pavel Gugolev, which is a guy I was interested in drafting when we talked about it.
He's a Guelph Storm guy, right?
He's a Guelph Storm guy. Very similar to Igor, right? He was an overager that scored like 40 goals in junior and was just ready to go to the next level. So it's interesting to see that guy's having some success. But yeah, Mando played a decent game, and the Belleville Senators, Ross, they just cannot figure out Joseph Woll. Like, this guy he's able to dominate them. It feels like every time they play.
I think you're talking about Sogard, because Mads came in after. It was a tough start for Mando. 3 goals on 6 shots, Pilsy.
Yeah, he was pulled in the first period. Yeah,
so that's tough. But then, hey, Mando or Sogard gets a little bit of reps here because he wasn't available for the longest time. So that was Sogard's first game in. I'm pulling it up right now. His first game since December 5th, Pilsy. That's nearly a month, and he makes 16 saves on 16 shots. So,
and to come in cold like that, that's impressive.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a little silver lining in what was a 4-2 loss to. So the other was an empty net, because I was like, wait, what's the math add up here? If Bando got pulled after 3 and Sogard didn't let in any. But yes, it was a third period empty net goal. And I still don't know why the Sens got rid of Curtis Douglas. Remember they had him last year?
Me too.
Monster.
I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah,
he's having a great, shouldn't say great year. Yeah, 11 points in 22 games. So pretty decent. 6'8" centerman, 250 pounds. You don't think this organization needs some center?
He's a big boy, yeah. And if we're giving the shout-outs here, though, Ross, shout out to, oh man, I'm going to butcher his name, but Rourke Chartier. Yeah. He's on a 5-game point streak, and I think he's on a 3-game goal streak as well. So guys like him and Lucchini are just showing up out of nowhere and having good AHL seasons for Belleville. So that's nice. And Igor got on the stat sheet as well with another assist. So it's good that he's still contributing.
Yes. The more we see from Igor, the happier we'll be, right? Because that's what the name of the game is down in Belleville anyways, is getting reps and getting opportunity. And Igor only has 4 goals in 21 games, but 12 assists. So he is moving the puck around, snapping it around in the offensive zone. And Roby Jarventi, I want to give a little stick tap to as well. No points in the game yesterday, but he had the 2 points it was Friday night, not Saturday. That's my apologies there. 8 shots on goal in the 2 games since he returned from World Junior. So I want to see a big second half from him, because I don't know if he's ready for a cup of coffee like Igor was in the NHL, but I do really have high hopes for Roby and his future. What the Senators need is exactly what he brings. We talk about the winger depth is just non-existent at times here. So those two, hopefully, big parts of Ottawa's future going forward.
Yeah, and it's funny, the tie-in I'm thinking of right now, Ross, is, and his brother plays on the Marlies. How great would it be to have Vitaly Abramov right now? Right now, he could be getting the opportunity that he wants and needs as a top 6 winger, right?
Yeah.
You put Abramov on that top line instead of Shaw, or even on the top or second line with Formanton and Stützle. Whew.
I know. Can't go back or can't convince him otherwise. You can only live in the AHL lifestyle for so long. He was going on like year 4, year 5 with 2 different teams, and now he's playing in Moscow in front of probably huge crowds and
making bank.
Making bank too. So you can't hold that against him at all. And just only 3 games in the Sens organization, although he was here for like 2 years. So yeah, that's tough, but you're right. He would be a contributing
perfect
player
guy right now. Yeah.
Right now. Now, I want to wrap up with this conversation, because Matt Murray, his whole thing was being sent down to play games, and he didn't play any. And then Belleville plays 2 games this weekend. He plays 1. Like, would it have been a little more sensical to put him back down and get him to at least play these 2 games in Toronto?
Well,
the Sens were already in Toronto on Saturday, so you could have just put him down there the night before, plays Friday, plays Sunday, and at least he gets more reps, because right now Matt Murray is a goalie who has 0 confidence at all. And if he looks at his stats, then he's got even less confidence. Yeah. And I just think he needs to be playing games. And I don't know if the NHL it's definitely not a sympathetic league. Like, they're not going to feel bad for Matt Murray. So I don't know, but getting 2 games down there in a month, and then right when he's called up, they play 2 games. Like, it just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, I guess, but think of their goalie situation, right? Like, they needed goalies just to be on the NHL roster. So that would mean Mando would have had to come up, and Sogard wasn't ready yet either, right? So I don't know. It was a musical chairs goalie carousel here, but I get what you're saying. It definitely would have helped, but I think maybe they thought it had been enough time and let's get Murray a start in the NHL here. But yeah, still an ongoing problem with Matt Murray here.
Do you think he plays another game this season for the Belleville Senators? That's a loaded question.
I don't know. Like,
who is more likely to play another game for the Belleville Senators, Matt Murray or Michael Del Zotto?
Oh, Delhi. Yeah, Delhi.
You think so?
For sure, yeah. Especially with how weak, like that D-core down. We're talking about a weak D-core up in Ottawa. That D-core down in Belleville is decimated right now. Like, it's tough. So yeah, I bet Delhi goes down there. But as far as Matt Murray, like, I think it'd be a pretty tough conversation to have with them, telling him he's going back down again. Not that he could be like, well, I've done this, and this, but like just to be having that kind of resurface and all those emotions be brought back up, I think would be tough. But it's kind of out of his hands now. Like, he doesn't have anything to back himself up with. He's just got to go with what they think will allow him to try to claw his way back to being a decent NHL goalie.
And we talked about opportunity. What about the opportunity for Eric Branstrom right now with Thomas Chabot out? And we think Chabot could be back for Saturday, but if not, like, this guy better be at least on the second power play unit and getting an opportunity potentially for even more. Because I think that if you're talking about power ranking the most important parts through now to the end of the season, Eric Branstrom and knowing exactly what you have with him through these next 40 plus games is top 2, and it's not 2.
Yeah, I would agree, because this is the prize jewel of the Mark Stone trade, and you need to acquire some sort of value, whether that's going out and trading him or realizing that he is, in fact, a guy who's capable of being a top 4 defenseman in this league. So the Eric Branstrom thing is tops on their list here, because they need to figure something out. And not only just because he's not going to be waiver exempt and can't bring him up and down, but also you're going to have to figure out some sort of contract for this guy. And that's going to be very interesting to do. I bet it probably goes to arbitration, which would be, I think, not good for Branstrom. But
exactly. I was going to say Ottawa's definitely got the edge because the production just hasn't been there.
Yeah, exactly. But
has the opportunity. That's when you get into the argument.
I think that's what the agent would say is, yeah, like, look at the opportunity he's been given. So I think the Branstrom question is definitely top on the list here, because that's a pivotable.
I like
what
that.
am I trying to say here? You know what I'm trying to say.
Putting your foot in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very important piece for this Senators team to kind of either boost them up into playoff contention or have them stuck in rebuilding and no man's land here. So Branstrom is a massive piece.
I'm going to blow your mind with this stat, I think.
Whoa.
Mark Stone has played 4 seasons in Vegas.
Wow, that is crazy. Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's been that long, does it?
No.
4 that's seasons.
Sad. And the captain too. Like, that's tough seeing him with the C. Ugh.
First captain.
Even though Brady needs to be the captain here, it's still tough watching Mark Stone captain another team.
Yeah, it certainly is. Mark Stone with 63 points, 61 points in 10 less games, and this year has 23 in 19. It's unfortunate he's had a few health issues that have kept him out of the lineup, but he is just a superstar player. So you hope that Eric Branstrom, if he can't bring you superstar qualities, at least a little something. A little something to the table. So he's going to get his opportunity, and I'm all for him playing 20 minutes a game for the rest of the year, whether he's good, bad, or ugly. I don't even care. I just want to see him get reps and play, because there are not 6 defensemen better than him on this team. There's just not. So DJ has to roll him out, and even if you're the Pierre Dorion, at this point you have to – I know Dorion's favorite line is coach makes decisions on playing time. No, you need to see as an organization what you have in Eric Branstrom.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think they need to be on the same page about that. And, like, look, you're looking at Branstrom and Mete, very similar players. Just give Branstrom that edge every time, right?
Yes.
Like, just give him the benefit of the doubt every time, and that's a good way for him to get opportunities here.
He even showed he could kill penalties.
Exactly.
Eric Branstrom did. So, hey, he is at least in that really small window going to get an opportunity. I think he was about to, and then he got hurt. So
exactly,
that's one of those where nobody's at fault. But in this 3+ year span, you could say that the opportunities have not been very numerous for Eric Branstrom. All right, so today we got into Eric Branstrom a bit. We got into the Matt Murray situation. I think we made the most out of this show, just like the Senators are trying to make the most out of a situation where, I'm going to pull it up one more time. This is what the Senators' practice lines were yesterday. And if you're just listening, I'll just let you know it's not pretty. It's not an NHL lineup. But again, that's why NHL games were postponed. So hit us up on Twitter at Send Central. We'll show you the lines we get today and more later on. And let us know if there's anyone who wants anything answered. Maybe we'll do a little mailbag for tomorrow, because now, again, we're going on. The Senators have played one game, and it was a forgettable one in the last 18 days. And this is going to continue up until Saturday, when we expect the Senators to travel west and remain in Canada to play Vancouver, then Edmonton, then Calgary, and then come back towards Winnipeg. But until then, we'll stay up to date on all the happening around the Ottawa Senators and more. For Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan. You can follow the show on Twitter at Send Central and on Instagram, Locked On Senators, because this is the Locked On Senators podcast. We've got your team every day.